So, hello and good evening, good afternoon, good morning, or whatever the time may be where you are right now. Welcome to our weekly live stream here from the University of Paderborn. My name is Harald Selke, as you can see here, and this is the live stream of our computer science advisory office. So we're doing the consulting for people who are already studying here at our university in computer science in particular, or are planning to do so. So if you are out there and have some questions about how to study, how to apply for the master program at our university, for example, or whatever, then just keep your questions coming. You may as well tell us where you are from. So just say hello and say where you are from. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. Just a short introduction, as usual, for about this program. As I said, this is from the student advisory, so academic advising service from the computer science department at the University of Paderborn. And we are doing these weekly live streams here. It's always on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Central European summertime right now, because we are in summer currently. And so 6 o'clock in the afternoon of our local time here. And in the winter, of course, it's not in summertime, but then it's in wintertime, of course, in Central European time, that is. First week each month, first Thursday each month, we have a show aimed at our prospective bachelor students, so people who are planning to do the bachelor program here. The bachelor program is in German, and thus this program is in German as well. So this live stream here is in German as well. In the second week, we have a live stream for our current bachelor students, again in German, because all our students should be capable of speaking and listening to German. And in the third week, which is what we're doing right now today, excuse me. In the third week, which is what we're doing right now, right this evening, this program is aimed at people who are planning to or are thinking about maybe coming to Paderborn to study computer science here. I can also answer some questions about other universities in Germany, other programs, but my knowledge is very limited there, of course. But I can give you, maybe I can answer some questions related to that as well. But the best questions or the best answers I can give to your questions is, of course, if you have any questions about how to apply or how to study for studying for doing your master program. Sorry, I'm a little confused tonight, it seems. So your questions on how to apply for the master program at our university, the master program in computer science, that is, or if you have any questions on what the program looks like or anything like that. So keep your questions coming, please, and ask whatever pleases you, and I'll see what I can do to answer those questions. And then in the fourth week each month, so that would be next Thursday, obviously, then we are doing a live stream for our current master students, because they might have some particular questions on the current program, what's changing, what's happening, if there is any news or something like that. So that's always the fourth Thursday each month. So that's basically what we're doing, and yeah, as I said, keep your questions coming. There is already one there, and I'll answer that in a minute. I have also prepared a couple of things, so I can give some hints on how to apply. This is what I would like to focus on tonight, as long as there's no other questions. Yeah, we'll see what I can tell you, and then we'll see if there's any more questions regarding any of this. So the question here is, hello, first of all, thank you for your question. How does the first 2 to 3 months look like for a master student? That's an interesting question. I should mention something. I've got something to drink here, non-alcoholic beer, so that I just keep my throat lubricated a little bit. So cheers and enjoy your evening, or whatever the time may be where you are. So the first 2 to 3 months, excuse me once again. So here we go. Usually, the first thing, of course, you will arrive in Germany. That's the most important change in your life, probably, if you decide to come to our university to study here. And then we will have a welcome week for you, which is a kind of orientation phase at the beginning of the master program. So there will be quite a few events or appointments in this first week, where you will meet first of all, your international fellow students, usually. So the people who, let's suppose you would start in October here in Paderborn at our university, then you would be welcomed here in probably the first week of October or so. The exact dates aren't fixed yet, of course, but you will be informed about those dates. And then you will be greeted by some of the university officials, first of all. Then there will be a welcome by our international office. They are the people you can contact with any questions not directly related to the subject. So that's for computer science now in particular. But if you have general questions, like, for example, if there's a problem with your visa, or if something about health insurance, or something about accommodation. So they are the ones who will contact you before you come, even before you come here, because they will be doing all the official stuff with you, like, for example, sending you your letter of acceptance, which you can then use to get your visa and your travel documents, travel arrangements, etc. So that you will already have had some contact with them, and that in this first week, that will be the point when you see that they are not only sending out letters, but that they are real people there. So you will meet some of the people of the international office. Then the next thing will be that you'll meet some of the people responsible for the computer science master program. I will be one of them, and we will give you an introduction into the master program and tell you what you need to know to get started, basically, in computer science, that is. So, because, as I said, the other questions like visa, accommodation, etc., that should be dealt with by other people. But everything related to our computer science master program, that is then something that we will try to help you to get started with. And you will also meet people from our Students' Council. The Students' Council is they are fellow students of yours, so will be then, of course, because they are also, some are in the bachelor program, some are in the master program, and they will help you get to find your way around university, for example, how to find the lecture halls, how to find any facilities that are of importance to you. They will help you in building your lecture plan for your first semester, and they will be there for lots of different questions to answer those. And there will also be another meeting where you will learn about the most important tools that we use at our university, especially the tool that you need to register for courses and for exams, etc. So that's another thing that we will tell you in this welcome week. You'll also get to know a little bit about the city of Paderborn, because you're not just studying here, you're also living in the city, of course, then, if you are studying here. And somebody, not me personally, but somebody from our university will also help you find your way around the city. So, like, for example, show you where the good pubs are, and what other interesting places there are in the city for you that you should know about. Some just because they are nice, and some because they are very useful. Like, for example, where to go to if you have problems with your visa or something like that. So that's one of the. That's basically the first week, is getting acquainted with life in Germany, with the university, and with the computer science master program in particular. So after that first week, you will have some idea which courses you would like to choose. You should have some kind of accommodation by that time, of course, and you should be somewhat settled, as good as that is possible within just 1 week, because of course it will take some time to get used to living in a foreign country, living in going to university, where the university system is probably quite different from what you know from your university, and all those things. And then usually the week after that, the lectures start. So, and that will be your major task in those first 2 to 3 months, basically a little more than 3 months, 3.5 months, because that is the time when you will have your courses. So the semester starts on 1st of October, but that doesn't mean that the lectures start on that date. They start a little later than that, sometime or something. I don't have the exact date handy right now, but it should be something around the 10th of October. And then your lectures will start, and they will run through until probably end of January or beginning of February. And there you will go to your lectures, hopefully, at least. Nobody forces you to go there. But you should then go to the lectures, take part in the lectures, take part in the tutorials. You will only visit normal lectures, that is where there's basically a professor or a lecturer standing in front of you and teaching. And it's not, in the first semester, it will not so much be about practical work, which you will do later on. I see there's a second question, and I'll come back to that later while talking here. So the first semester is basically taking normal classes, so going to the lectures, being listening, lots of reading. There is also some practical work involved in many of those courses, because every lecture is always accompanied by a tutorial, and in that tutorial there is more or less practical work. That depends very much on the courses you choose. You might choose some very theoretical course in algorithm design, for example, and then the practical work would be doing proofs of the complexity of certain algorithms, for example, or the correctness of certain algorithms. That would be the kind of practical work you will be doing there. But then, of course, it might be a course which has to do something with, like, for example, software engineering, and there you will probably do some coding as well. It might also be a course in IT security, for example, and there you will probably learn maybe some hacking and especially somehow how to prevent people from hacking your systems. And that, depending on the course, that may be very practical as well. So you might really get a lot of hands-on experience in those courses as well. Or, for example, it might be a course in data science, and then you'll have to do quite a bit with statistics, of course, because data science has a lot to do with mathematics and statistics. And you will might then be involved in a project where you get a certain data sets, and then you'll need to do some kind of analysis, data science analysis, or develop some kind of small product that you can then use to evaluate those data that you have. So practical data science, that would be, and so on. So very different things. Or for example, in high performance computing, you might have something to do with, you might get hands-on experience with one of our large supercomputers that we are running here. So that might also be possible. So usually those courses have some practical parts in them, but there's also lots of theory going on. And in the lectures themselves, the lecturer will, as I said, will give a lecture. So he will talk a lot and you will listen. And of course, you need to do something with what you are hearing there. So you usually will have the tutorials, and they do bridge the gap from the theory in the course to the practical applications in many courses, at least. So that's basically what you will be doing during those first 3.5 months when the semester is going on. You'll be taking part in those lectures, in those tutorials, and you'll try to get your life organized in Germany, basically. That's quite a bit of work, I think. But of course, it's manageable. Other people have done it before, so that should be fine. So there's also some administrative stuff that you have to do in that time, during that time, because, for example, you will have to register for the courses, you will have to register for the exams, and for the practical work. The practical work sometimes is prerequisite for taking part in the exam. So you have to do the practical things in the tutorials in order to be allowed to take part in the exam. And this will also happen during those first 2 to 3 months, or 3.5 months basically. And after that time is over, then the so-called semester break starts, and the break isn't really a break. But the break is, in that semester break, there's no lectures, but in that time there will be the exams, for example. And so then that will be after the first 3.5 months, then, so as I said, at the beginning of February probably, then the exams will start. And that will be quite a bit of work again, of course. But if you did all the assignments that you got during the semester, then you should be well prepared for the exams, and the exams shouldn't be that hard for you, and that shouldn't be that much work. But that depends very much on how much you and how consistent you worked during the semester when all those assignments were given to you. So it's strongly recommended to really take part in the courses, and in particular take part in those in the tutorials and work on the assignments, and really take that seriously. So that's basically what you'll be doing during the first 3 months or 3.5 months of your studying here. And then there's this questions, you're looking for a practical-oriented computer science program focused in software development and software engineering to work in industry after the master's. Does this CS course cater to the practical side? Yes, it does. And it depends very much on what you choose your master program to be like. Because in our master program, we have a concept that is called focus areas. Getting a slide here where I can show you that. So what we have, there's something I forgot to update this slide as I just see, because it says here that in our master program we have 6 focus areas, and that's not true anymore. We have 7 right now, because the one listed at the bottom, coming up, security, it's now fixed. It exists from this semester on. So the students who have just started here at the beginning of April, they are the first ones who will be able to specialize in security as well. And you choose which area you wish to specialize in. So we're not telling you you have to do one course in each of those 7 areas or something like that. Quite to the contrary, in fact. You need to decide for yourself which area you wish to specialize in. And in that area, you need to take at least 3 courses. You can take up to 7 courses, and just one course needs to be from a different area. So, for example, if you say, if I understand you correctly, you say you want to focus on software engineering, then this focus area, software engineering, would probably be the right, or might be the right one for you. There might be others as well, but software engineering might be what you are looking for. And then you can specialize in that field. So that means that you can take 7 courses, up to 7 courses from that field, plus 1 course from a different field, from one of the others, like algorithm design, computer systems, data science, intelligence and data networks and communications, or IT security. Just to give you an idea of what kinds of courses we have in the software engineering field, I just have to find the slides here. Just a second. Oh, it's not here. Just another second. So it's not just 1 second, but it's a couple of seconds. And there we go. So this is the choice of courses you would have if you would like to focus on to specialize in software engineering. And this is just the titles of the courses. We have the module handbook available. There's my website is linked below this video. That's the website of the academic advising. And then you'll find something which is called the module handbook. And this module handbook has detailed descriptions of each and every of those courses. So I would recommend, if you're really interested, download that module handbook and look up those modules. This list is in the module handbook as well, so you don't need to copy this from this video. So just check the module handbook, which courses are in the focus area, or in general, which modules are there, courses are there that you might be interested in, and check their detailed descriptions, and then you will find quite a lot of information which should also give you an idea how practical the individual courses are. Like, for example, Build It, Break It, Fix It, just as one example. I haven't never taken part in that course myself, because when I studied here, something like that didn't exist. But from what I know, in the course Build It, Break It, Fix It, students are divided into groups, and you'll get a certain task, and you have to, each of those groups has to build some piece of software. And then you go ahead and swap the developed software between the different groups. So the software that you built will be given to another group, and the software that some other group has written will be given to you. And your task for every group, then the task is that they have to try and break the software that they received. So they have to find ways on what is wrong with the software, where are errors in the software, where are security issues within that software, and stuff like that. So basically, you're trying to break the software. And then in the third phase, you're trying to fix that. So you're trying to get the software up and running again. So that's basically the idea. So you develop something, then you have to deal with the software written by someone else, try to find out what's wrong there, and then you'll fix that software. So that's basically the three steps which are happening in that course. And as you can see, or as you can probably imagine, that is quite a bit of practical work that you are doing there. Because it's hands-on experience, really. You have to code, and you have to read and understand other code, or test other code. Maybe you don't have the source code available to you, but you need to find ways on how to test code and how to find out if the code is doing what it should do, or if there's any issues with it, like security issues or runtime issues, for example, so that the code simply breaks. And then, of course, the fixing is again another very practical part, of course. We have other courses here which are more theoretical, even in the software engineering field. Like, for example, well, I can't really tell you which ones are really theoretical. I'm just looking over there because that's my slide over there. I guess those are most of those courses should be pretty practical, I think. We used to have other courses in there which were made more on the theory side, like modeling. Model-based systems engineering might be a little more theoretical. Not exactly sure on how practical that is, but you might find the information in the module handbook. And so as you can see here, like, for example, privacy enhancing technologies is again another course that we're having there, and those courses are often quite practical because you are really doing something. As I said, so far I only talked about the normal courses that we have, but if I can show you an overview of the master program, what it looks like, you can see here that there's more to than just those normal courses. The normal courses, as I said, that's lectures and tutorials, and those are the 8 green blocks that you can see in here. And that is just a suggestion on how you can distribute that over the 4 semesters that the master usually should take. But as you can see here, there's more than that. There's 2 seminars. So those seminars are usually very theoretical. So you are reading scientific papers, and you're trying to understand them, and you're trying to present core results from those papers, for example, to your fellow students. That's something that happens in the seminars. But there is, you can see on this large purple block in the second and third semester on the left-hand side, and that's the project group. And the project group is really a software project. So that's very practical work again. You will be working on some kind of task, and it's a very large task. Yeah, it's quite a large task, because you will be working with a group of up to 15 students on one single project for 1 year. So it is a serious software project. It's quite often it's closely related to some research project. So usually our professors have some research projects running, or often they have some research. No, everybody has some research projects running, and the project groups are often centered around those those research projects. And that means that there will be you will have to develop software, you will have to document the software, you will have to test the software. So it's the complete software cycle, basically, not the maintenance side, of course, because after a year the project group is coming to an end. But apart from this maintenance cycle, the complete thing will be done within that project. And it depends very much. Sometimes the project is very well defined at the beginning, but sometimes that's particularly true the closer a project is to a research project, because in a research project usually people learn while they are doing the research. That's one of the ideas of research. You don't know exactly where you will be going to, and that means that you will start with a rather open task, and then it will somehow be narrowed down until you really know what you are going to implement within this project group. So you will be working on a large project, as I said, and that's really hands-on experience, and you will need to do coding there. And as I said, all the other things that belong to a real software development project are in there as well. Like, for example, as I said, documentation, like testing, but also dealing with your fellow students, because there might be someone who's trying to not do their work or something like that, and you will have to deal with that within your project group as well. You can't rely on the supervisors of the project group to deal with all of those questions, but quite a lot is going on within your group. Like, for example, how to distribute the work among the members of the group. That's very important. The question is, the project is a practical implementation of the professor's research work. It might be. We'll have lots of very different project groups. It might be, usually it's not really part of a research project, because in a project group the result of a project group may be in not so completed at the end of that year that you can really publish it within a research project, for example. But usually it will be somewhat related to research projects that the professor is having in his research group. Sometimes it's even something completely different, but very often it's somewhat related to some kind of research project that is going on in that professor's research group. So it's not always it's not the immediate contribution to a research project usually, but it's somewhat related to research projects. Yes. So it's a little difficult to describe, because it's always very also varies a little between different professors what they are doing. So for example, we had a couple of years ago, I had a project group where we did exactly that. We had a research project where we needed to develop a tool, and we basically in the project group we basically built the kind of the basic system. So it wasn't a piece of software that we could then use within the research project, but we explored several techniques that might be used within the research project. And after that, one of the students who took part in the research project then wrote their master's thesis on that particular project, and then this student developed the work of the project group further into something which was not even, again, not the real research, not the real software we needed for the project, because even in a master's thesis, you don't usually do something which is then a complete product in the end. But we again came closer, and then we developed, on top of that, we developed then the real software, so to speak, as a product, because having a complete product which is really meets all the requirements to being rolled out to someone outside the university or outside the research group itself, that usually requires much more than you can achieve within such a project group or even within a master's thesis, because of course the software has to be maintained then afterwards, and as I just said, that can't be part of the project group because, well, the code needs to be well documented, of course, but someone needs to work on that code after that, because as you all know, software is never ready. So software has to be developed further on after the project has finished, and that requires quite a bit of different kinds of work. But it really is practical work. Whatever happens to the results of the project in the end, that depends very much on how good the project group worked, how good the results are, if there is someone willing to take on that work, for example, and expand on it in their master's thesis and things like that. So that's lots of different aspects playing into that. So yeah, that's basically, I think, the most important thing I can talk about in this direction. If there's any more questions, please keep them coming. Otherwise, I would just try to address a couple of very different questions, but we can stick to this. Okay, there is one more question. Is another question. You're worried about the master's thesis as you haven't done that type of work before. Of course you haven't. Nobody has before they do their master usually. There's a few people who do second masters, but that's very rare. How much help do we get from our professor for our thesis, and how difficult can it get? A master's thesis is quite a bit of work. There's no denying that. It takes time, and that's what we are, of course, planning for. So as you can see here, the master's thesis is basically the last semester in full-time work. It's calculated like 6 months of work. 1 month is kind of preparation phase, and then 5 months is the real work on the master's thesis. And again, there's very, very different kinds of master's theses. There are theses that are very theoretical. There are others that are very practical, where you have to implement something. Again, you don't have to implement something to a level that is a product that could be shipped or something like that. That's not the goal of the master's thesis. What is much more important in the master's thesis is that you do scientific work. That's basically what you prove. The master program is a scientific program. And that means that you need to do scientific work, and that means you have to, for example, let's assume you will be, there's a certain, the topic of your master's thesis is something, a tool to develop a tool for something specific, which is very, so one kind of a thesis that you might encounter here. So you have to develop a tool for some specific task. Then your task would not just be to develop this, but you have to describe what you develop, but you also have to describe why is that interesting, why should anybody be interested in the work that you're doing in your thesis. What have other people done before? Because usually you will not invent something completely new, but there will be something done in that. There will be some kind of similar work, or related work, as it's called. There will be some kind of related work, and you have to reflect that related work. So you have to read that work, and you have to argue, for example, which of those ideas from other people, from other works, from other publications, from other tools, which of those you took into your own, you took as inspiration for your own work, for your own thesis, and where you developed something new, for example, or where you decided to do something different than other people have done it before. You will not be left alone with that, because that's one of the reasons why we have those seminars, because in those seminars you will learn exactly that. So you will learn that, as I said, the seminars are more theoretical than the project group, for example. In the seminars, you really learn how to deal with scientific literature. So how to reference, how to summarize literature, how to integrate ideas that come from different papers that you read, for example, and then you'll have a topic in the seminar where you have, for example, have read some paper from here, some paper from somewhere else, and then you'll have to find some kind of connection between those, and you'll describe that, and then you will also have to reference those two sources, or three or four, or how many ever that may be, and you'll have to talk about those and have to give a presentation on that, and have to write a seminar paper. The seminar paper is usually something around like 20 pages or so, 20 to 30 pages. And the master's thesis is about triple the size, I would say, 60 to 90 pages usually. Might be longer, but usually 60 to 90 pages, I would say. And so from the seminars, you'll learn quite a lot of those techniques that you need on how to write a master's thesis. Also, during the master's thesis, you will not be left alone, but there is a supervisor. In fact, there's two supervisors, but there's your main supervisor, and the main supervisor is your primary point of contact for the thesis. So you will talk to them, you will try to agree with them on the topic of your master's thesis. You don't have to come to them and present them and say, this is what I want to do. But usually you come up with some kind of idea and say, well, I would be interested in something around this topic, for example, or something like I would rather do a development, something in software development, software engineering, or I would do something in a more different area or something like that. And then you'll discuss that with your supervisor. That doesn't have to be a professor. It may also be the teaching or research assistant of a professor. And you'll discuss with them what the topic of your master's thesis will be. Then you will write some kind of extended abstract. It's kind of a working plan, what you are planning to do in your master's thesis. And this is it's usually between 2 and 10 pages long. And then the two of you agree. So you and your supervisor agree on that topic, and then you really start working on that thesis. And in all those phases, before you start writing this extended abstract, or this proposal as we call it, during the writing of your proposal, and also during the whole 5 months that you will then spend on writing the thesis itself, developing something, reading stuff, writing stuff, all that, the complete process will be, you will be talking to your supervisor. It depends very much on you yourself, on how you do that. I usually meet with my students who write their master's thesis with me. I usually, at the beginning, maybe on a weekly basis, and then we'll switch to a bi-weekly basis or something like that. So that every 2 weeks we meet, and then ideally the students come up with questions that they have. So they send me something, like, for example, well, I've written, for example, a draft for chapter 2 or something like that, and then they'll send me that ideally 1 or 2 days before we then meet, and then I have time to read that, and then I can give feedback on what I've read, and ideally they also come up with questions and say, well, I've done now this, I've done that. Next step would be doing this, but I don't know, I didn't find any good literature on that, or I am stuck with the development process at this point because I don't know how to do this or that. And those things should then be discussed between you and your supervisor. And the more you get into the habit of meeting with your supervisor and receiving the feedback from them, the better you will be prepared for really writing this master's thesis. So we don't leave you alone there, but we also have some people who just come to us, ask for a topic, and then we discuss a topic, and then after they have written their proposal, they just dive away and then they are underwater, and after 4 months they come back and present us something or something like that. But that's usually not a good idea, because most of those theses are really no good theses, because then we are sometimes surprised what the student has done during those 4 months, because we thought we were clear about what the goal of the thesis is. The student thought the same, but we thought of different things. So my idea what the thesis would be about is different from what the student has done, and the student had an idea and is now very disappointed because I expected something completely different. And then that's always a very difficult situation. So you should avoid that. And the best way to avoid that is seeking contact with your advisor and regularly meeting with them. But that's all done on an individual basis. So maybe your supervisor says, well, I want to meet you on a weekly basis, at least during the first 3 months or so. And then after that, we switch to bi-weekly meetings or something like that. That depends very much. So there's no one-size-fits-all approach here. The master's thesis is, as I said, it is quite a bit of work, and but other people have managed to write it. So it is obviously you can manage to do so. So it's not something you need to be overly afraid of, but you should take it seriously, and that's very important, really, because the time is limited, and there's only very few exceptions that we can make to extend the time frame that you have. It's basically just if you get ill, and you don't want to do that, because in that time you really can't work usually when you're ill, and that's one of the very few exceptions that we can make. Usually, as I said, you can't extend the deadline of a master's thesis. So it's you really need to concentrate working on that. Another question here about general studies. Yes, there is general studies written there. General studies is basically, excuse me, I just need to drink something. General studies is basically very simple, because you can basically pick any course in our university. Usually you can only pick courses that are taught in English, of course, because probably your German won't be that brilliant by the time you arrive here. And so basically your choice of courses will be from English-speaking courses taught in English. And there's just one restriction. The courses in general studies may not be from computer science. That's basically the idea. Sounds strange? Well, maybe it is, but the idea is basically that we want you to see that there is a world outside computer science. We don't want to have you just take one computer science course after the other and then never have seen anything else. What most people do in these courses, in this general studies, is taking language courses. You can, for example, take German language courses here at our university. In fact, for the time being, and that's related to the next question we are going to answer in a minute. For the time being, you need to reach a certain level of German language competency, some certain level of German language proficiency, and that's level A2. And maybe you already bring that along with you, so because you already have learned German somewhere. Then that's fine. Then you don't need to take any German classes here in Germany. But you can, of course, you can build on that. But if you don't have level A2 already, then you can take courses here in Germany. And you can take those courses outside of university. You're free to do that. or you can take language courses, as long as there are seats available at least, within our language department here at our university. And if you do that, if you take language courses at our at this university, then those courses would count towards these general studies. So basically, if you took those courses usually have 3 credit points. ECTS is the European, ECTS is the European Credit Point Transfer System. So basically, ECTS means credits. Usually a language course has 3 credits, so that would mean that you can take up to 4 courses within those general studies. But you don't have to. As I said, you can take courses, other courses as well, but for the time being at least, you will be required to reach level A2 by the time you complete your master. But, and this is the next question here, what are the minimum language requirements for this master's degree? That's although it's just one question, it is in a way it's 2 questions, and the one point is what I was just talking about, and that is that currently, at least, our regulations say that in order to get your master's degree, you need to have you need to reach German level A2. And as I said, you can do that by taking 4 courses. And it's basically A1 takes 2 courses and A2 takes again 2 courses. And if you take all those 4 courses at our university, then you would have level A2, assuming you pass all of those courses, of course. Then you would have level A2 with 4 courses and your general studies is done. However, that is sometimes difficult because sometimes we don't have enough seats in the courses, and it may be that you can only take 3 language courses at the university, which would leave you with a half of a course of level A2. So you do A1 with 2 courses and then half of the level A2, but that's not enough. And then you would need to go to some kind of language school, for example, to learn German level A2, and you would also need to take 1 course in general studies from something else. Like you could do, for example, something in philosophy or in psychology or in media sciences or in history or whatever, or learn some completely different language. Like, for example, if you're not from Korea, you might want to learn Korean, for example, or you might want to learn Czech or whatever. So that's also possible if you want to do that. However, there will be a change in our regulations, and because you will be starting, if you apply now, you would be starting in October. And from October onwards, we have a new regulation. We've just passed it. It's not yet officially published, but it will come, and it will start in October. Every student starting from October onwards will not be required to take any German language courses at all. So we don't have any requirements on German language proficiency in order to complete the master students. So far we had, but from October onwards we don't have that anymore. So that means that there is no requirement of you learning German here at all. And that means that you can take any courses you wish to take in those general studies, apart from, as I said, computer science courses. I would still strongly recommend taking at least 2 German language courses, like level A1 and to reach German level A1 with those 2 courses. I would strongly recommend you do that, because usually you can get around in Germany quite well without knowing any German at all. And that's certainly true for the university, but also for life in general in Germany. But I would really recommend trying to learn at least some German, because it just simplifies your life around here if you can talk to some people in at least some German. It always makes a good impression on if you meet other people and can at least say hello to them in their own language. At least that's what I try to do when I even when I'm not studying in a country but just traveling to a country. I would like to say at least hello and goodbye and some basic phrases. The university's German language courses can make you A2 certified, and as far as I know that, I'm not exactly sure. They prepare you for the for this certification, but I don't know if if they themselves take the certification, or if you have to go to the Goethe Institute then to take that certification. I'm not sure about that. I really don't know. I think that the university itself does really does the test and then hands out the certificate, but I'm not 100% sure in that respect. So you would have to check that with our language department once you are here. As I said, not sure, but it might be that they do this certification themselves. However, there's one more question related to this question: what are the minimum language requirements for this master's degree? Because, and that may come as a surprise to some of you, we do require an English language certificate if you want to study here. And we really need that, currently at least, again, from everybody except from very, very few countries. We don't need such a language certificate from people from the US, from the UK, from Canada, from Australia, and from New Zealand, and that's basically it. From all other countries. So even if you are from Nigeria, for example, where even from early childhood on, all education is done in English, we still need an English language certificate, which is an independent certificate. So not from just a medium of instruction certificate from your university, for example, is not enough. So you really need to have some kind of IELTS or Cambridge certificate, or TOEFL, or for the time being, right now, while the pandemic is lasting, we also accept Duolingo, but that's only until September, and after that only if you apply now. So the current application phase runs until the 31st of May. So only if you apply before 31st of May, only then the Duolingo certificate will also be accepted. After that, we won't accept that anymore. So even if your complete bachelor program was in English, we still need that certificate. Again, for the time being, that might change in the future, but I'm not aware of the exact regulations that we will be switching to. So if you wish to apply right now for the upcoming winter semester, deadline, as I said, is 31st of May for that application, and then you will need a TOEFL, IELTS, Cambridge certificate, or whatnot from they are obviously from independent institutions, with meeting certain requirements. Again, on my on the website of our department, there's this website cs.uni-paderborn.de. That's the website of our department. It's below this video. And if you go there, there's a large menu, which on the top left corner it says Study. And there you will find one menu item which is called something like Information for International Students. And there's detailed descriptions of the language requirements, or the English language requirements that you have to meet in order to come to our university, to come to our computer science master program. So that's pretty important. Have the classes started offline? Yes, all our classes are back to normal, so to speak. So we are no longer doing online teaching. There may be courses that do some kind of hybrid program, but in general, all our classes are in presence, in real life. So we are back to meeting in lecture halls and having real lectures with real people in them. We still have to, or we're not required to, but we ask people to wear masks in the courses. But apart from that, everything is, at least for the time being, back to normal. As you know, nobody knows what things will develop into over the next half year or so. So things might change again, but I would currently plan with an offline semester, so with not online courses, which basically means that if you plan to start your studies here in October, you should plan to be here by the beginning of October That's during the first week of October. I will just check the dates, just a second. Just a second. Just need a moment. No, that's the wrong page. I didn't want to go there. I'm trying to find my way around. So here we go. So the next winter semester, the lectures will start on the 10th of October. So it's exactly the date that I had in mind, but I wasn't sure about that. That's why I wanted to check it. 10th of October, and that would mean that the week before that, on the 3rd of October, 4th of October, because the 3rd is a holiday, public holiday here in Germany. It's our national holiday. And so on the 4th of October, we will then start with this welcome week. And I would strongly recommend being here for the start of the welcome week. So if you plan to start your studies in October, make your travel arrangements in a way that you are here at the latest by the 4th of October, ideally a couple of days before that, so that you will be here with full concentration on the 4th of October, because on the 4th of October we will start with the welcome week, as I described it earlier, like with all those meetings where you will learn everything on how life goes on in Germany, how life goes on in at the University of Paderborn. And that's the other question that we have here. Can you please give some idea about the campus life for master students in Paderborn? Well, to be honest, the last 2 years, of course, were very, very atypical. So the last 2 years, as you can probably know from your own universities, if you have studied up to now, at least, some of you I know have been working for the last couple of years after leaving university. But if you have studied over the last 2 years, I'm pretty sure that you didn't have a normal student life in that time as well. At least we at our university didn't, because so much was going on online, and there were phases when we weren't even allowed to go to the campus. But yeah, as I said, we are basically back to normal. What can I say about life for campus life for master students in Paderborn? There are quite a lot of things going on at the university. I'm just checking if there's something that I can show you while I'm talking, or if no, not this one. Well, I'm looking for this slide here. That's the one I wanted to show you exactly. So what you can see here is the main campus of the university. And as you can see, I put some letters on those buildings, so because those are the most important buildings when you will be starting here at the university. We're not going into any details there, but as you can see, it's a very compact campus, and most of the students' life happens on the main campus. There is a secondary campus, which is where my office is located. So I'm not on the main campus. I'm somewhere else in a different part of the city. And you will also sometimes have to travel between those two campuses. But that's very easy because there's bus lines running. It is also doable by bike if you are keen on riding by bike, which is perfectly fine here. The university is on a little hill, but it's not really mountainous. There's no mountains here, just some small hill, and the rest of the city is basically pretty flat. So cycling and car traffic is okay, I would say, and there's lots of bicycle lanes as well. So traveling by bike within the city is perfectly fine and normal. So it's very easy to get around, and also you will get something which is called the semester ticket, and that's basically a free travel pass for all local public transport. And local doesn't mean just within the city of Paderborn, so you can use all the buses for free well, not for free because you have paid for the semester ticket, but that's a one-time fee that you have, and then you have a kind of a flat rate. So you can travel all around the city by all the buses that we have, but you can also take the regional buses, which visit the surrounding areas, and also all trains within the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. North Rhine-Westphalia is one of the 15 states of Germany within Germany, and within that state, you have all local transport, or regional transport, I should say, is for free. Not the long distance trains, you'll have to pay for those, but you can get around quite well with those regional trains as well. So there's lots of opportunities also to not just get to know life in Paderborn, but also to explore what is around the city and see other interesting places in Germany. And we're quite well located. I'll come back to that in a moment, where in Germany we are and why I think Paderborn is not the worst place to go to. I'm a little biased there, of course, as you might tell, but yeah, I think there is some good reasons. On the main campus, you will find basically all the most important. Well, you won't find any supermarkets there, but there is a supermarket right across. If you see in the top, in the bottom left corner, you can see these red roofs. With some solar panels on them, and that's some of the students' accommodation that we have. It's one of several student accommodation buildings, and so maybe you are lucky and get accommodation there. And right next to that, so on if you would go to the top left from there, so if you follow that large road that there is right in front of those red roof buildings. If you follow that road for just 100 meters more, then you would come to a big shopping center. So there's supermarkets, there's everything you need for daily life. I guess you could spend your whole life in there if you wanted to. It's not a particularly nice place to do so, but you would get everything. So you get not just food, but really everything that you wish, basically. On the campus itself, there will be, of course, there's a cafeteria and what we call a mensa, which is the students, well, not only students, also we also go there. It's where you go for lunch usually. The cafeteria is open all day. The mensa is only open for lunch. There's couple of other facilities like banking facilities and a hairdresser if you need one is also there, and things like that. And of course, there's also cultural institutions like we have, for example, we have a little theater even integrated where we have a theater group at the university, but they're usually offering German language programs. There's music, there's parties, of course, which is also quite important. There is a pub on the campus. There is the Asta Sommerfest, it's called. It's a huge music festival. It takes part every year in June. And it's a huge music festival where the complete campus is transformed into a giant festival area with I don't know, 7 or 8 different venues where bands are playing and other music is playing, and of course there's thousands of people there on that day. So there's quite a lot of things that you can do. What is also, I think, quite important is there is the ASTA, which is I talked about the Students' Council earlier, which is the Students' Council is basically on the for mathematics and computer science, and there's Students' Council for electrical engineering and for other departments as well. And there's also a kind of students, students' council, you could say. It's on a different level, and that's for the whole university, and that is called the ASTA, the Allgemeiner Studierendenausschuss, and the General Executive Committee of Students. I would say, something like that. They have also some different kinds, different things that they offer as services to students. Like, for example, if you need to make some photocopies or something like that, they can do that you can do that with them, and they can also certify copies and things like that. That's possible there, but they also do lots of different things. Like, for example, there is there's also a student. They also have a kind of committee or group which caters specifically for international students. So you won't be left alone there as well, and because, as I said, you will meet your fellow students from computer science, but of course we have in other departments there's also international students, and in that group you will also meet those students from other departments, like, for example, students from physics or from mathematics or from electrical engineering or from business computing or from business sciences or something like that. So there's quite a lot of things going on, and I think at least when I was studying here, I really liked the student life as it is around here. Just one thing. Two more things. One thing is this is the secondary campus, which is, as I said, at the other side of the city, the secondary campus, and this building on the right-hand side where it says F, that's where I'm located, and next to me, that building that has no letter attached to it, that's not part of the university, but that's the computer museum. It's the largest computer museum in the world. Which is right next door from here, and then there's some more buildings that are also related to the university. Oh, what I forgot to mention, of course, because on the left-hand side here I see some sporting facilities. That's not the sports facilities of the university. We can't use that. But at the main campus, there's sports facilities as well. So that's a very important part of student life as well, I think, because you can take part in lots of different sports courses, and we have lots of sports initiatives, playing all different kinds of doing all different kinds of sports, and from dancing to soccer or American football. So there's lots of things that you can do there as well, and those facilities are. As long as you might need to take part in one of those courses. Those courses don't count towards general studies; they're just your spare time activities. But if you take part in those courses, then you will also be allowed to use the sports facilities. The other thing I was mentioning is. Where we are in Germany or in Europe, I should rather say, that's where the spot is. That is Paderborn, as you can see there. And I've drawn a 500-kilometer circle here because 500 kilometers is something which would be easily done if you just. Well, some of those places I would say you can even go there and back within one day. But for 500 kilometers, you would usually maybe for a weekend trip, for example, you could do that. And as you can see here, that's quite a lot of cities. Some are even significantly closer than 200 kilometers. Like, for example, Cologne is just a little under 200 kilometers away from here. And as I said, if you travel by regional transport, the transport would be completely free to you, so you wouldn't have to pay a single cent to get there and back again. So that's perfectly possible to go there. And as you can see, there's quite a few places that you can go to, and even within the 500 kilometers, you can even reach other countries, I've just listed some of the cities in those countries, like, for example, Amsterdam or Brussels or Luxembourg or Prague, for example. So that's all very, very doable within just, as I said, just for a weekend trip. And if you make a little longer trip than that, then you can go even further than that. Like, for example, let's take a look at the 1,000-kilometer circle around Paderborn, and then you can see that basically all places in the United Kingdom are there. You would have to fly there in order to get there within a reasonable amount of time. But you can also travel there by train. But then I would rather recommend taking a week off, which you should, of course, not do during the semester, but only during the semester break, obviously. But apart from that, you can, as you can see here, there's quite a lot of places that you could easily travel to, because I guess if I know that many of you are from India, and if you take a circle of 1,000 kilometers around your city in India, you're probably in most cases still within the country. And as you can see here, Europe is pretty small compared to some other places in the world, and within a 1,000-kilometer circle, you see here that you can travel from up to Sweden down to the south of France, to the Mediterranean, and over to Italy as well. So lots of places that you can get to pretty quickly, I would say. Okay, you wish to get a general idea how one should compare which university to choose in Germany for masters. Should we go by rankings only, apart from, of course, what other factors to consider? Well, yes, it's very simple, of course. You simply go to the best university, and that is obviously Paderborn University with their master program. That's the short answer. No, just kidding, of course. That is really a very important question, of course, and it's not that simple, really not that simple to answer. I would say that rankings are one factor, but they're just one factor of many. Personally, I would first of all try to get an overview about, assuming we're talking still about computer science. I would first of all I would try to get an overview of universities in Germany, in this case, which offer computer science programs in English, with a significant amount of courses in English. Like, for example, our program is basically in English. There are a couple of courses, like 5% or so, which are in German. So you can only choose from 95%, which is quite a good quota, I would say. But there might be other master programs that are in English as well, but they may only offer like 60% of the courses in English. That might be something to consider. Again, that's not the single argument for choosing or not choosing a certain university or certain master program, but that might be one point to consider at least. The second point I would then, so it's basically how many is there a significant amount of courses being offered in the English language? The second point I would consider is, maybe even before that, I should say, is do I have special interests in which area I wish to specialize in? And it might be, for example, that you say, well, I'm interested in, say, software engineering, and I guess every German university would say about themselves, every German university with a computer science program would basically say, yes, we have a good program or good classes in software engineering, because software engineering is such a core subject that basically every computer science department should offer a good program in that field. And if your main interest is in one of those fields, then basically every computer science department will probably be one you might choose. But if you have certain area, if your areas of interest are a little more specialized, like, for example, if you say, well, I think data science might be interesting, or for example, security might be interesting, then things get more difficult, because we have some universities in Germany offer special programs in, for example, data science or in security. We don't do that. We have decided to go a different route, like many or several other universities in Germany have done as well. And we're saying, no, if you come to us, you do a master in computer science, and then you decide, you don't have to decide when you come here if you want to specialize in data science or security or software engineering, but you can decide that while on the go. So you start studying, and then maybe you find, well, there's some area that I didn't really recognize before I came here, but that sounds very interesting to me, and I would like to go there. And if you're studying, if there's a specific program in data science, for example, it might be difficult to switch to another, to a completely different program. In programs like the ones that we have here at our university, you don't have to switch the program, because when you start and think, well, I want to go into data science, you don't have to tell that to anybody. You basically decide that for yourself, and then you can go into what area you are interested in while studying, and so you can shift your interests along the way. And that might be something to consider as well. How much flexibility does a course program offer? Does a master program offer to you? And here at our university, we have one of the most flexible programs, I think, in Germany. There's few others that are as flexible as we are. Again, that's just one factor. There may be other factors as well. Of course, if you already know that you're interested in a certain area, as I said, if you want to go into IT security, for example, then your choice would be limited, because there's a couple of universities which have a good amount of courses in IT security, and other universities simply won't have that. And obviously also the other way around. Like, for example, if right now you want to specialize in, say, networks and communication, I would, for the time being at least, say, don't come to Paderborn, because currently our offering in that field is very small, because some professors have left our university. We are hiring new staff, but they are not here yet. And they may even be here by October, but I can't promise you that. So if you're planning to go into network and security, I would, for the time being at least, right now, if you are planning to start in October, I would say just consider picking a different university than ours. But as I said, again, things will change in the future. And so if you ask me the same questions in a year from now, the answer might be very different. But I can't promise you anything in that respect. What I would definitely check is how many professors or how many lecturers does a university have in that specific department. And I would, because if there is a computer science department that has just 5 lecturers, for example, they may be brilliant lecturers, but with 5 lecturers, you can only offer so many courses, because obviously every lecturer has a limited amount of courses that they can offer. And that means that with just a handful of lecturers, you don't have a very wide spectrum of courses to choose from. I would consider a full-fledged computer science department to have at least 15 lecturers, I would say. So I would definitely check that as well. How many lecturers does a university have, and does the program look like they have enough courses to choose from? Because, as I said, you may already have some idea what courses you wish to choose, but maybe things develop differently. You develop, and the courses may sound interesting, but once you take them, you find out, oh, it's not really that interesting at all. I would rather do something else. And if you have a limited choice, well, then of course you're more limited than if there's more choice available. So I would recommend picking a university with at least, say, around 15 lecturers in computer science. That would be, maybe 12 is enough as well, but at least I think you get the idea. So check if the program looks like they offer enough different courses so that you can really find what you would like to specialize in. There's one other very important factor, and that is something that we often encounter problems for students encounter problems. We have the problems then as well, of course, because we would like our students to succeed. and that is that our university is kind of renowned for being quite having quite high requirements on theoretical aspects, so theoretical computer science. And that is also reflected in the requirements if you wish to apply here at our university. So, and I'll just show another slide for that. It's not the one I'm looking for, just another second. So here we go. So, sorry, it took me some time. Here we go. So, when you apply at our university for the computer science program, this is basically this is the most important check that we do. There's other checks that we do, but this is one of the most important checks, and that is that you have a bachelor in computer science or in a comparable bachelor program. And what does comparable bachelor program mean? You need to have a solid background in computer science, and that means, in our terminology, at least 20 credits in software engineering, 20 credits in theoretical computer science, 15 in technical informatics, and 15 in mathematics. And the most important, or the requirement that often isn't met by applicants is the second one, that is the 20 credits in theoretical computer science. So what might be topics of theoretical computer science? You should know about Turing machines, and you shouldn't just know that they exist, but you should know what decidability is, for example. So you should have heard of certain problems, undecidable problems that cannot be solved by a Turing machine and hence not by a computer. So, like for example, you should know about what is a diagonalization, what is a reduction, how do you reduce a problem to another problem in the theoretical computer science sense. So, in order to prove that a certain problem, for example, is undecidable. You should know about the concepts of non-determinism, like in non-deterministic finite automata, non-deterministic Turing machines, for example. You should know about the concepts of NP completeness. So what does NP complete mean? How do you prove that the problem is NP complete? Would you be able to prove for a certain problem that it is NP complete? And how do you do a reduction, for example, to show that a problem, if there's one problem that you know that is in NP complete, and you have another problem, and and you want to prove that this problem is NP complete as well, then you can do a reduction. How do you do that? This is something that you should know. You should have learned about approximation algorithms, like for example, if you have hard problems, exactly those NP complete problems, how can you find at least approximate solutions, and how can you judge their quality? Like, for example, if you have the knapsack problem or a vertex cover problem, the graph coloring problem, or things like that, traveling salesperson problems, those problems you should be able to know how you can deal with those problems by solving them through approximation algorithms, for example. And you should have learned about randomized algorithms, like, for example, take a randomized quicksort and do a runtime analysis of that. So those are questions within theoretical computer science. And this is something that we have made the experience that many people applying here at our university in our master program, that people haven't heard of those concepts. Maybe of some of them. It is not required that you know all of those aspects that I just mentioned, but if you have several question marks there, if you have at least 3 question marks there and say, oh, I've never heard of that problem before, then I would say you should really reconsider if this is the right university to go to. And there are other universities in Germany that have similar requirements on theoretical computer science, like, for example, I guess Dortmund wouldn't be much different from that. Technical University in Berlin wouldn't be much different. University in Saarbrücken or Kaiserslautern or Munich, for example, they would all have the same requirements. There may be some universities that don't have these requirements, and that's one very important distinction. In Germany, there's two types of university, and that's something that you probably have not realized yet. Maybe you have heard of it, but haven't really realized what that means and what that in practical terms may mean for you. We have universities which are just called university, like, for example, Paderborn University or Technical University Berlin. There's technical before that, or RWTH Aachen, Rheinisch-Westfälische Technische Hochschule Aachen, which is also a university. And there is universities that have the term in them, University of Applied Sciences. And that's a very important distinction. So there's the general universities, and then there's the universities of applied sciences. And applied sciences really means that those universities are much more on the application side of things, and they usually don't have all these theoretical requirements. So if you say that you have lots of question marks with on the topics that I've mentioned on this slide here, then it might be worth considering applying at a University of Applied Sciences. There's also certain there's the amount of universities that are offering, of these Universities of Applied Sciences, that are also offering English-speaking or English-taught computer science programs. That there's not too many of them, but there are a number of them. And you should check their course programs as well and their prerequisites, and they will most probably tell you that not mention any of these topics, or most of these topics, maybe some of them, but most of these topics they won't mention. So if you, and that's something that you need to answer for yourself, if you think that you are really good in theory, then that shouldn't be a problem for you. If you think that you don't really know much about theoretical computer science, then I would strongly recommend taking at least a serious look at the Universities of Applied Sciences and consider applying there as well, or only there. That's something I would definitely recommend you. So I'm not trying to push you away from our university by telling you about horrific stuff or about horror stuff here or something like that. But it's just something that you should be aware of. By the way, we do have a self-assessment on our website that's also linked below this video here. And other universities sometimes have that as well. And it's a general test. So what we ask, the questions, you will find that, as I said, in the link in a link below here, below this video. And it's just a PDF document that you can download or then try to solve the questions in there on paper or online or whatever, however you like it. You don't have to send anything to us. It's really a self-assessment. It's just for you, for yourself, and the solutions are included, so you can check for yourself if you were able to answer those questions. And that self-assessment should give you a pretty good idea if you meet the requirements that we have in our master program. So, and that's probably my last recommendation I can give here for how to choose a university. If there is a university that you think that might be the one, like for example ours, then check if they do have something like this, like such a self-assessment. Take that self-assessment and consider for yourself if you think that you kind of met the requirements that are being tested in this self-assessment. As I said, it's you don't have to know every single answer in that self-assessment. But if there's, for example, if there's a complete block of topics where you say don't even have a clue what this is about, then you're probably not right. Our master program is probably not right for you. I should put it that way around. The master program might not be for you in that case. But if there's only a couple of questions where you say, well, I don't really know what they want to know from me here in this question, well, then that's okay, because nobody knows all the things, of course, and you will have certainly have learned other things than our students here, but it should be somewhat of a match. And I would recommend trying to find out at other universities as well if they offer such kinds of self-assessments. That would definitely be a good idea. Yeah, I guess that's the most important ideas I would have for choosing a university or a master program in computer science in Germany. Yeah, I hope that is at least a little bit helpful. And I know it's difficult. There's one good news, of course. You probably know that you have to apply through UniAssist, and when applying at UniAssist, you can not apply just at one university, but you can apply at several universities, which I would really recommend. Don't just pick one university, apply there, and then hope that everything goes well, but really pick more than one university, and maybe, in particular, if you have doubts about your capabilities in theoretical computer science, pick at least one University of Applied Sciences as well, along with other universities. And because otherwise it might just be that if you just pick one or two universities and they both say, well, sorry, but there's a certain requirement that you don't meet, then well, you've lost half a year, because only after half a year you can reapply through UniAssist. So I would really recommend applying at at a certain number of universities, not at every one, of course. I don't know what the cost is, if the cost rises with the number of universities where you apply to, but you should apply at least at a handful of universities, I would say. And if you get accepted by more than one, well, then you still have the problem, of course. You still have to find out which one you really want to go to. But then, and that's the good news, if you are accepted at more than one university, then I would just recommend pick the one that seems best for you, go there. And if then, for example, after half a year you find out, oh, well, it's really not what I expected it to be, I'd rather go to a different university, then you can swap to the other university. Like, for example, let's assume you would apply at, say, University of Aachen and here at Paderborn, and we both would accept you. And you decide, for some strange reason, of course, which I would never recommend to you, but no, just kidding again. You decide to go to Aachen, for example, and then after half a year, you find, okay, you've managed, say, 2 courses. You've completed 2 courses with their exams, but have decided, well, after half a year, I think Aachen was not the right choice. I would rather go to Paderborn. Then you can write to us. And then, because we already accepted you, it's very easy to switch to our university in that case. If we didn't accept you, of course you can't, but if we accepted you here as well, then you can switch to Paderborn University. And of course, we would then check the courses that you already took in Aachen, and then you can have those courses recognized here. So those courses in Aachen wouldn't be lost, but instead we would recognize them as courses here, as long as it's computer science related courses. So if you do all language courses, but they won't help you with the master itself. So if you do some course in ancient philosophy in Aachen, then you can have that as general studies here in Paderborn, but not as a computer science course. But if you have a course in, for example, machine learning at Aachen, then we would recognize that as a course in machine learning here as well, because we know that the course in Aachen is good, and we can simply accept that. So those swapping between universities is possible. Of course, you might lose some time through that, because you have to rearrange your life once again. You will still be in Germany, but still you're going to a different city. You have to move because it's not just around the corner. It somewhat brings some kind of turbulence into your life, and so it's probably takes some time and some energy away from you usually, but still not everything is lost. So you can still swap the university once you are here. Yeah, so basically that's, I guess, it for tonight. That's good to hear that it was helpful. As I said, we will repeating this here. The deadline for applying for the winter semester is 31st of May. By that time, your documents should be with UniAssist. There are some documents that you can hand in even later, but I can't tell you exactly until when you need to send which documents. So you should contact UniAssist in that case. Link is below this video again. Go to UniAssist and ask them until when you need to send which documents. In general, the earlier you can send your documents, the better it is. But if there's something missing, still missing, just contact them and ask them and tell them, well, there's this one document that I don't have yet, but I can send that until this and that date. And then they will tell you if that's okay or if it isn't. And once UniAssist has all your documents, they will forward those to us. That always takes some time. And in fact, we have already received like around 90 applications for the next winter semester, and we haven't even started looking at those applications. So if you have already sent us your application, bear with us. It will take some time, and we're usually waiting until some date rather close to the deadline. So in May we will only start in May evaluating the applications. We have no fixed limit, so it's not like if you come early then your chances are better, because we simply look at your qualifications, and we don't just say, well, we accept like say 30 students or 40 students or whatever, but we accept everybody who meets our requirements, and then it's up to you to decide if you wish to come. So you will then, at some point in time, you will receive a feedback through the UniAssist system and also from our international office, and we will then tell you if you have been accepted. If for some reason you decide, if you are accepted, and if for some reason you decide not to come in October, then that's also possible, and that's very simple. You simply, because, like for example, you've problems in securing your visa or making travel arrangements, or you still have some business to do in your home country and simply can't come for any reason, then you simply notify our international office and tell them that you won't come in this semester, but that you would like to postpone your master program or defer your master program for one semester, and then you can come next year in April, for example. That's also possible as well. So that's up to you then in that case. But the most important thing is getting your documents ready and and of course deciding where you wish to apply, and then keep my fingers crossed for you that everything turns out as you wish things to be. Oh, I should mention one more thing. When I said picking university for a computer science master program, of course you should also take a look at computer science related master programs, because, for example, you might also have a strong background in your, I know that many of you have studied in their home countries in their bachelor program, program called Computer Science and Engineering, and in some universities the engineering part is pretty strong, so you have lots of what we call technical informatics, so which would be like networking and computer architecture, hardware stuff, communication stuff, all those things. And if that is the case, we don't only have a computer science master program, we also have a computer engineering master program, which is also in English. And they don't have, for example, all the theoretical stuff I was talking about. They don't have that in their course as well. So computer engineering might also be an alternative. And at other universities, as I mentioned, you also have those programs like computer engineering. And there's also other programs like, for example, University of Göttingen, which is just 100 kilometers, even less than 100 kilometers away from here. They have, for example, have a master in, I'm not sure if they offer that in English, but at least they have a in German, at least they have a program in data science, for example. So if there's a specific interest that you have, also check out those course programs. So don't just look for computer science in particular, but also for other programs that are related to computer science in some kind. As I said, you may lose some flexibility because the data science program is quite specialized from the beginning onwards, whereas here you decide where to specialize in while you are here. So you can specialize in data science here as well, but you don't have to specialize in that field. You can also specialize in a different field, and you can move between those different areas while you are studying here. So you don't have to exactly know what you want to, in which area you want to specialize by the time that you complete your master, because maybe you learn some interesting things while you are here. Okay. So I guess that's it for tonight. Was quite a long show, but thank you very much for all of your questions. I hope I didn't miss any of them. If I did, it wasn't on purpose, and I beg for your apologies. I would like to apologize for that if I forgot to answer some questions. And yeah, apart from that, this should be it for tonight. As I said, we will repeat this specific for this specific audience that you probably belong to in 4 weeks from now, and maybe by that time you already have decided to apply at Paderborn. Maybe you have some even more detailed questions on certain things, or on certain things for the application, for example. You can either contact me via the email address, which is on my website, linked below this video, or you can, of course, come back in 4 weeks from now, and then we will try to answer your questions there. Yes, there is a schedule of these questions. That's the questions that's just coming in here. Is there any schedule of these sessions? Yes, there is. Again, my website, this is the one with the academic advising, and the Fachstudienberatung, it's called in German. It's linked below this video. It should be the first link below this video, I think. And you can just click there, and there's always the program for the schedule for the next month is always on my website. So you should be able to find that there, with exact dates and times and the topics. But as I said, we always have the same, basically the same schedule. First Thursday, it's always 6 p.m. Central for as long as the summer lasts. So until October, we have 6 p.m. Central European Summer Time. It's always in the first week of the month. Our prospective bachelor students, a program in German. Second week of the month, our current bachelor students, again in German. Third week of the month, prospective master students in English, like tonight. This is exactly what we did tonight. And fourth week, next week that it would be, and then fourth week in May again, and so on. We'll have the program for our current master students, again in English, of course. You're welcome to join there as well, but the topics I will be concentrating on will be different ones. But still, if there is time to answer questions which are not directly which are by prospective master students, then of course those questions are welcome as well. Only I will have a priority on our current students there. So just be warned, but you are also welcome to join us there as well. So schedule is below this. Okay, so that's it for tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all of your questions, and I wish you a good time and good luck with your application should you decide to do so. So good night and good luck. Bye-bye.